Discover 8 incredible life-changing secrets of geniuses that will touch your heart forever. In a small Midwestern town, where hope sometimes flickered like a dying bulb, 17-year-old Emily found treasures in the pages of an old journal her grandfather left behind. His was a life spent in service, a man who fought bravely for his country and spent the rest of his days nurturing the bonds of community. As she pored over the 8 life-changing secrets of geniuses, each lesson ignited a fire deep within her soul, whispering promises of brighter tomorrows. The cramped booths of the diner, where she worked late into the night, became her cathedral of dreams. The smell of frying burgers and fresh coffee filled the air, but it was the spirit of resilience and unity that lingered longest. Her grandfather had instilled in her a belief that change was possible, even in a town that felt stuck in the grip of despair. The weight of expectation pressed down on her, but the journal gave her wings. With every word she read, she felt herself standing taller, armed with the wisdom of empathy, perseverance, and the power of collective dreams. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But when Emily decided to apply for the prestigious scholarship, whispers slunk through the streets like shadows at dusk. A rumor took flight, swirling through the diner where regulars gathered, suggesting that Emily's qualifications weren't earned but instead granted through favoritism and privilege. She felt the sting of betrayal slicing through her dreams, the checkpoint of hope starting to look like a dead end. Determined not to let gossip smother her ambition, Emily called a town hall meeting. The idea sent a ripple of skepticism through her peers. Yet, on the night of the gathering, the diner buzzed with a blend of anticipation and nervous energy. Family and friends filled the cramped space, faces twisted in uncertainty, but also curiosity. Emily stood before them, propelled by her grandfather's enduring spirit. "I'm here because we all want more from this town," she proclaimed, her voice ringing out with a strength she didn't know she possessed. As she spoke of ambition and dreams, she felt them all gathering in the room, the weight of their shared history pushing against the tide of doubt. Just as she approached the heart of her plea, a figure emerged from the shadows, their voice heavy with skepticism, echoing past prejudices. The atmosphere thickened, tension pulsing through the air like electricity. Emily's heart raced. Could she hold the town together? Could she convince her neighbors to believe in themselves again? The overwhelming hum of doubt surrounded her, the challenge enormous. But at that moment, Emily could feel something stirring deeper, a collective heartbeat, a shared longing for a brighter future. Yet, one question loomed, unspoken but looming: could a single voice from a modest diner truly spark a revolution of courage and empathy? The air crackled with possibilities, and Emily knew that everything was about to change. Emily felt the weight of the room pressing down on her, but a flicker of determination ignited in her chest. She scanned the faces around her, familiar yet distant, their uncertainty reflecting her own doubts. But the whispers of her grandfather's journal echoed in her mind: courage is born from fear. She took a deep breath and pressed on. "Let us talk about what holds us back," she continued, her voice steadying. "Fear, bitterness, and the doubts that sneak in when we try to chase our dreams. We've all felt it. But together, we can shine brighter than any whisper of malice." There was a stirring among the gathered crowd. People shifted in their seats, eyes locked onto her as if she were unraveling a long-held secret. "Imagine what we could achieve if we support one another. We can build a community where everyone's ambitions are cherished, where we push each other to be our best selves. This isn't just about me and a scholarship, it's about lifting each other up." A murmur of agreement floated through the diner, mingling with the scent of coffee and hope. Emily felt a wave of adrenaline flow through her. She was no longer just a kid with a big dream, she was a young leader, a spark ready to ignite. Yet, as she looked up, the shadowy figure stepped forward. It was Mr. Jenkins, the owner of the pharmacy, a man known for his critical tongue. His face was a mix of skepticism and curiosity. And what do you propose, Emily? A town full of dreams doesn't pay the bills. You think we can just change overnight? Her heart sank for a moment, she could feel doubt creeping back in. But she steadied her gaze and answered him, maybe not overnight. But every great change starts with a single step. What if we committed to fostering talent, sharing resources, organizing workshops, and pooling our skills? We can make it happen together. The air in the diner shifted, the energy crackled like static electricity. Wild enthusiasm bubbled up, as a young woman named Sarah from high school chimed in, I've always wanted to start a youth program, but I never thought anyone would care. If we band together, we could make it happen. Encouraged, others began to throw ideas into the mix. A series of broken voices spoke up about dreams long buried, an artist yearning for a gallery, a chef hoping to launch a food truck, even retirees wanting to teach life skills. Each voice added a new layer to the dream. Emily felt tears prick at her eyes, hope surged like a floodgate opening. This was more than just a town meeting. It was the birth of something alive and transformative. But just as she thought they'd broken through, a voice from the back called out, what if those who don't believe in this idea hold us back? What if they don't want change? The room fell silent, the doubt hanging thick. Emily's stomach twisted. Could she really rally everyone? Would the seeds of change be met with resistance? Taking a deep breath, she stepped closer to the edge of the makeshift stage. What if we face those challenges together, as a community that believes in each other? They may not understand the light in us yet, but we can be the ones who show them. In that moment, something shifted. The group exchanged glances, eyes lighting up with the realization of possibility. They were more than individuals battling doubts, they were a tapestry of hopes woven together by threads of resilience. But just as the momentum surged, the door swung open again, and an unexpected guest stepped inside, a figure Emily had not anticipated, someone who could either bolster their dreams or shatter them entirely. As the shockwaves reverberated through the room, one question loomed large: would this new presence herald an opportunity for unity, or would it drive a deeper wedge into their fragile hopes? Emily's heart raced as the newcomer stepped into the diner. The chatter faded into a hush filled with both anticipation and anxiety. Her eyes widened as she recognized the familiar figure, Mr. Thompson, the town's mayor, known for his sharp tongue and even sharper opinions. His presence could elevate or extinguish the fire she had just ignited. He scanned the room, his gaze landing on Emily first. What do we have here? He asked, arching an eyebrow. A little gathering of dreamers? His voice dripped with skepticism, and the air thickened with uncertainty. For a moment, Emily felt small again, the weight of self-doubt pressing on her shoulders. The crowd shifted uneasily, their hope wobbly under the mayor's scrutiny. But her resolve bubbled back to the surface. Mr. Thompson, we're not just dreamers. We're ready to start making changes, actual changes. A few murmurs of support rippled through the room. This was her moment. She couldn't let fear take hold now. Changes? He repeated, gesturing dismissively. You think a few feel-good ideas will alter the course of this town? We're stuck in a rut. Our focus should be on survival, not fantasies. A knot formed in Emily's stomach, but just as she was about to falter, she heard Sarah's voice cut through the tension. But isn't survival about more than just existing? We can thrive. We need a vision for our future, Mayor. The crowd began to rally behind Sarah's words, their voices rising in a chorus of affirmation. Yeah. Someone shouted, and another added, what is the point of staying stagnant? The mayor stepped back slightly, his expression hardening. He couldn't dismiss them all at once. Emily felt the energy swell in the room, a tide of passion as people leaned in, eyes bright with renewed hope. Listen, she said, sensing the moment hanging delicately in the air. If we focus only on our fears, we'll never grow. But together, if we celebrate our strengths and creativity, we can weave a future that brings everyone along. A ripple of agreement washed through the crowd, like a wave breaking against the shore. Emily could see the spark in their eyes, the way they began to believe in something larger than themselves. Mr. Thompson's lips tightened, the tension in the room thickening. He tried to maintain his authority, but the people were no longer just passive listeners. They had awakened, ignited by a shared vision. "Fine," he said, attempting to regain control. "But if you fail and you'll have to deal with the consequences." A loud voice from the back called out, "We'd rather try and fail than never try at all." The energy in the diner shifted one more time, now charged with unyielding determination. Emily felt as if the walls themselves vibrated with their collective resolve. She knew this was just the beginning, yet they had the power to write their own narrative. But even as she stood on the brink of collective action, a nagging worry crept in. What would happen when they faced the inevitable opposition from those firmly rooted in the past? As she looked around at the supportive faces, a new question emerged. Would they have the courage to stand together when the tough choices came knocking at their door? With uncertainty lingering in the air, Emily prepared to take the next step, her heart pounding with the knowledge, a storm was brewing, and it was about to test their unity like never before. The chatter in the diner began to build again as Emily took a deep breath, determined to keep the momentum alive. She stepped forward, the warmth of the crowd buoying her confidence. "So, where do we start?" she asked, trying to foster a sense of direction among their spirited voices. "Let us brainstorm ideas." Sarah jumped in, excitement bubbling in her chest. "We can create community events, cleanups, maybe start a local market?" A chorus of hopeful suggestions surged forward, bouncing around the room like fireflies. Ideas flew from every corner, each person eager to contribute. Emily could see Joe, the mechanic, speaking passionately about local farming initiatives while Linda from the bakery chimed in with thoughts on hosting food festivals. But then, Mr. Thompson cleared his throat again, and the bustling energy dimmed. "Those are all lovely ideas," he said, feigning politeness. "But you need more than just dreams. You need a plan, a real strategy. And good luck finding funds or volunteers in this town." Emily's heart sank for a moment. He was right about one thing. They needed to solidify their intentions into actionable steps. Yet, the flicker of doubt only fueled her resolve. "That's exactly why we're here," she responded, her voice steady. "We'll make it work. Together." The discussions resumed, buzzing with renewed energy. As Emily looked around, she caught Sarah's eye. They both recognized the power in what was happening. They were no longer just a bunch of individuals watching their town fade, they were united in purpose. Suddenly, the door slammed open, a gust of wind rushing in behind it. A group of young teens poured in, fresh from school. Emily recognized them as the kids who often hung around the diner, a mix of curiosity and rebellion painted on their faces. They scanned the room before settling on Emily and the chatter, curiosity sparking in their eyes. "What's going on?" one boy asked, his voice breaking through the conversation. "We're planning to make our town better," Emily called out, taking a step toward them. "Want to join us?" The teens exchanged glances, unsure for a moment. But then Sarah chimed in, "We need fresh ideas. The future belongs to you." Her voice was passionate, inviting. The boy shrugged but walked closer. "Like how?" The crowd paused, a mix of adults and teens now fully engaged. Emily felt an overwhelming yearning for change seep into the very fabric of the air. "Each of our ideas can transform this place into something vibrant. We can create spaces where everyone feels they belong." The teens looked intrigued. "I mean, okay, but what's in it for us?" one of the girls asked, crossing her arms. Emily sensed the challenge. The power that comes from having your voice heard, from being part of something bigger than yourselves. A place where all generations connect and build together. Murmurs of agreement rippled through both groups. The connection was palpable now, as if the walls of the diner had become transparent with hope. But just as the shared excitement was at its peak, the door swung open once more, and in walked a few of the mayor's allies, respected members of the community who were well known for their traditional views. Emily felt a cold wave wash over her as their skeptical gazes scanned the exchange. "Looks like we've got ourselves a little revolution," one of them said with a snicker. The tension in the room shifted, charged with apprehension. Faces looked from the mayor's allies to Emily, a mix of courage and uncertainty filling the diner once again. Emily swallowed hard, the stakes rising higher than ever. Her heart raced, but now the fear didn't feel paralyzing, instead, it became a driving force. "We will not be silenced," she declared, looking straight at the newcomers. "Change doesn't happen by retreating. It happens by standing firm together." The room erupted in a mix of cheers and heavy breaths, but as Emily looked around, she wondered, were they truly ready to push back against resistance? Would their unity survive the storm that had just rolled in? Uncertainty loomed large, but amidst it all, the town was on the precipice of something transformative. Would they rally together and weather the storm ahead? Would they rise against those who wanted them to remain shackled by the past? The answer hung heavy in the air, waiting to be discovered. The diner was alive with a palpable tension, a mix of excitement and fear threading through the crowd's chatter. Emily's heart thudded against her chest as she faced the stern gazes of the mayor's allies. They were symbols of the old guard, the status quo, and their presence sent shivers through her resolve. "Let us hear what you have to say then," one of the men said, leaning against the counter, arms crossed defiantly. His smirk hinted at disbelief, but it only fueled Emily's determination. She took a deep breath, steadying herself as she spoke. "We're discussing ways to revitalize our town, to breathe new life into it. It's about everyone working together. We're ready to innovate and connect." Her voice rang with conviction. "Connect?" The woman beside him scoffed, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "You really believe that a group of kids and some town folks can change anything here?" Emily's mind raced. She could feel the weight of everyone's eyes, some filled with hope, others with doubt. This was her moment. "If we don't try, we're already lost." The young teens seemed to resonate with her words, glancing at each other with uncertainty yielding to excitement. Sarah stepped up, igniting the energy further. "This town can be a place where dreams don't just survive but thrive. We want your ideas too. Join us." More murmurs of agreement rippled through the diner. The mayor's allies scoffed, but instead of retreating, the townspeople leaned in closer. Emily saw the younger kids nodding, drawn in by the infectious spirit. "Everyone deserves a voice," Emily continued, her spirit lighting up the room. "We'll host town meetings, organize events, and maybe even apply for grants. We'll form committees, I know we can do it." "Yeah," interjected a teenager with messy hair, his eyes lighting up. "We could start with a mural or something. Something cool that represents all of us. Art in the park." Another younger voice chimed in. "We can have music, and local artists, and anyone can participate." The adults exchanged glances, slowly warming up to the idea. "What about funding?" one elderly gentleman asked, still uncertain. Emily shrugged, spinning some fresh ideas in her mind. "We can crowdsource, host bake sales, and partnerships. I believe that if the community comes together, we can find the resources we need." The tension in the room started to fade as the adults absorbed her words. Emily felt the shift. Hope, once flickering on the edge, burned brighter now. The mayor's ally spoke up again, his voice wavering slightly. "You really think you can get everyone to work together? With those kids?" "Yes." Emily shot back with a fierce smile. "Change doesn't care about age, it thrives on passion and purpose. Let us prove it." Her words rippled like a shockwave. The young people cheered, even skeptics began to nod. This wasn't just a meeting, it was a gathering of shared identity, a hint of a movement. But as smiles blossomed, doubts lingered at the edges. Emily couldn't ignore the shadow of resistance that loomed behind her. "We'll need to be ready to face pushback," she said, her brow furrowing with determination. "We've got to stay strong." Just then, a voice broke through the buzzing excitement. "What if we bring in local businesses and ask them to sponsor us? Everyone loves the diner and the bakery. They should want in on this." "Yeah, and we can get the schools involved. Projects for students." Sarah added, a sparkle in her eyes. As they brainstormed, hearts began to swell with possibility. Each suggestion danced in the air, weaving a tapestry of hope. But the mayor's allies hadn't given up yet. One raised an eyebrow. And when the city council sees all of this? Will you still be so brave? Emily felt her pulse quicken. If we stand together, yes. We'll make them see that our town isn't just history, it's a living, breathing community with a future. The room erupted into cheers again, but Emily felt a chill of anticipation. The real fight loomed ahead, a battle not just for ideas, but for identity itself. Would they all stand behind her when the storm of opposition broke? The moment of truth lingered, as if time itself held a breath. The air in the diner crackled with palpable excitement, but beneath it all, Emily could sense the weight of uncertainty. Eyes gleamed with hope, yet questions loomed heavily in the hearts of many. A waiting stillness hung in the spaces between chatter, and the tension was electric. Can all of this really work? A voice murmured from the back. It was an older woman, her brow furrowed with skepticism. It's easy to dream, but reality can be hard to face. Emily's heart sank for a moment. But then she looked around the room at the youngsters whose faces shone with eagerness, at the older townsfolk who were starting to smile at the possibilities, even at the mayor's allies who seemed caught off guard. She had to push through the doubt. Yes. It can work. We will work on it together. A chorus of voices rose in affirmation, filling the diner with an almost tangible energy. Let us not get ahead of ourselves. One of the mayor's allies interjected. Do you understand what you're getting into? This town has a history of failing projects. Not this time, Emily said, fierceness in her voice. This time, we're not just dreaming. We're taking action. The words hung in the air like a declaration. She felt encouraged by the solidarity among her peers. They were ready to take the leap. Let us start by organizing. What about a town hall meeting this weekend? Sarah suggested, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Emily nodded, grateful for her friend's support. We can invite everyone, local businesses, schools, everyone. More hands started to rise in the diner, ideas flying like sparks from a fire, igniting imaginations everywhere. Someone jumped up and suggested a community cleanup day. Another proposed a bake-off fundraiser, while another voiced the need for more recreational spaces. Each idea swirled and blended with the last, creating a whirlwind of enthusiasm. But then, the laughter and excitement waned as a shadow fell over the crowd. And if you fail? Asked the woman from before, her voice dripping with doubt. What then? What if you lose everyone's money and goodwill? Emily swallowed hard. She could feel the weight of her own vulnerability crashing over her. If we fail, we learn. And if we learn, we can grow. But if we don't even try, that's the real failure. The diner fell silent for a moment, the truth of her words resonating deeply. A few older faces softened, while some younger ones nodded in agreement. Emily felt the air shift again, a hope gathering strength within her and the people around her. Just then, there came a knock from the door. The diner fell still again as the door swung open, revealing a tall figure with a weathered face. It was Pete, the local shopkeeper, his arms laden with boxes of pastries. I heard something about a bake sale? He grinned, his voice warm and inviting, breaking the silence like sunlight bursting through clouds. Consider it my donation to this movement. Cheers erupted as people rushed to help him. As Emily watched the community rally around Pete, the warmth of connection enveloped her heart. The tide felt like it was truly turning, but deep down, she knew the real challenges lay ahead. The mayor's allies wouldn't just sit back, and she would have to confront their skepticism head-on. Just then, she felt a weight on her shoulder. Sarah squeezed her tightly, a silent vow nestled within their quivering laughter. Emily smiled back, but a nervous flutter skittered through her stomach. Would they be enough to withstand the inevitable backlash, to weather the storms that were sure to come? Meanwhile, from the corner of the diner, one of the mayor's allies jotted something down, a knowing gleam in his eye. The game was just beginning, and Emily had unwittingly stepped onto a battlefield. What would happen when the town council heard about the growing movement? The buzz in the diner swelled, but Emily could still hear the hum of doubt lingering in the air. She felt it deep in her bones. The flickering excitement was fragile, like a candlelight dance on a windy night. No one knew what would happen next, not really. As everyone helped Pete rearrange the pastries on the counter, laughter filled the room. It was infectious. Sarah flung her arms around Emily again, their friendship sticking tighter in the face of uncertainty. "We can do this," Sarah said, her eyes wide with determination. "Everyone wants to be heard. We just need to give them a platform." Emily nodded, buoyed by her friend's enthusiasm. "Let us get a list together. Ideas, people to invite, where to set up the meeting." They both moved to a nearby table strewn with napkins and pens. The diner's energy shifted between tasks. Some people formed teams to organize the bake sale, while others took it upon themselves to scout for littered areas around town for the cleanup. Ideas whipped through the thick air like sparks from the pastries. But all that positivity left Emily grappling with a gnawing doubt of her own. How could they truly make this work? They didn't have a blueprint, a guarantee. They only had each other and the glimmer of hope in their hearts. "Emily!" A voice broke through her thoughts. It was Pete again, sweat glistening on his forehead, but the warmth of his smile shone through. "I've got old newspapers for the bake-off flyers. You think that'll help?" "Absolutely!" she exclaimed, a little too loud. It was as if her shout turned a few heads. Murmurs filled the diner again, but they were nothing like the earlier tension. Full of energy, ideas, and urgency. Sitting at the counter, the older woman locked eyes with Emily. There was fire behind her gaze now. "I still worry about the money, dear," she said, voice steady, but her tone softened. "You see, I've been burned before." Emily could feel the power of her words wrapping around her. It wasn't just about being another project. This was about lives. It was about trust. "Tell me your name," Emily said, stepping closer to the woman, like pulling the thread of a tapestry to form something beautiful. "Ruth," she replied, searching Emily's face. "Ruth, if you're willing to share your story, maybe that's a start. We need all kinds of voices to make this work." Ruth's brows furrowed, but then it softened. She nodded slowly. "Maybe I have a few tales to tell." "Perfect, that's what we need." Emily clapped her hands together, swallowing her fear. If they could reach out to everyone, share stories and dreams, they'd build a foundation strong enough to withstand any storm. As the plans were set rolling, the diner door swung open again. This time, it was a group of teenagers stumbling in, their laughter spilling like sweet lemonade. Emily's heart skipped a beat. She remembered how easy their laughter used to come to her when she was their age. "Did we hear something about a town hall?" one of them yelled, eyes lit with curiosity. The room went quieter, anticipation humming again. "Yes," Emily shouted back, feeling the rush of warmth within her. "Join us. We want your ideas." Every face in the diner turned to the new arrivals, the air thick with possibility. But in the back of her mind, she couldn't shake the feeling that not everyone would embrace this change. The mayor's allies would retaliate, and the council meeting was looming. Would they be ready when the tide turned? As the teenagers rallied around her with wild excitement, all of it rushed over Emily: the hope, the laughter, and the ever-present fear. She took a shaky breath, glancing over to see the mayor's ally scrolling through a list on his phone, a sly smile creeping across his face. What were his plans? What would he do with the information he gathered? But perhaps, just perhaps, the tide could rise high enough not just to hold steady but to wash away the doubt completely. Questions swirled in her mind like falling leaves on a crisp autumn day. Would this be a triumph, or would it turn into chaos when the council met? Emily watched the teenagers pile into the diner, their laughter mingling with the aroma of freshly baked pastries. It was a sound she had missed, a reminder that joy could still thrive amidst turmoil. She felt a small shift inside her, as if the flicker of doubt had been nudged aside by flickers of hope. Alright, team. Sarah's voice rang out, drawing the attention of everyone in the diner. This is our chance to gather ideas and inspiration for the town hall. Let us hear what you've got. The excitement swelled in the room again. A few teens shouted their thoughts on polling ideas, while others wondered if local musicians could perform to gather crowds. The ideas flowed freely, igniting passion in Emily's heart. Emily scanned the room, seeing familiar faces lighting up with enthusiasm. Ruth sat at the counter, tapping her fingers as she listened, while Pete began jotting down notes, fueled by the vibrant energy surrounding him. It felt like they were weaving the fabric of their community together, thread by thread. Can we have a theme? One of the teenagers yelled, her brown curls bouncing with each word. Something like Voices of the Future. It sounds cool. Another added, yeah. Let us have art, music, and stories. Everyone should share what they want to see in the town. A murmur of agreement spread through the diner. Emily's heart swelled, maybe they really could pull through this together. But an unsettling thought crept back in. Were they blindly throwing out ideas without a backup plan? What would happen if the mayor's allies sabotaged their efforts? Ruth. Emily called gently, guiding her out of the swirling excitement for a moment. What do you think about these ideas? Do they resonate with your experience? Ruth looked up, her eyes shining with a glimmer of something unfamiliar. When I was younger, I had dreams too, she began slowly. But somewhere along the way, I lost my voice. I didn't think anyone would listen. Her delivery struck a chord deep within the room. What you're doing, Emily, it matters. It's not just about a meeting, it's about reclaiming those voices. All those dreams. Tears pricked at Emily's eyes. She realized they weren't just asking for participation, they were asking for vulnerability, for openness. Then let us embrace that, Emily said, the warmth of determination spilling from her heart. Let South make this place a safe haven for stories. The laughter resumed, vibrant ideas overlapping in a joyful cacophony. The realization struck that this was more than organizing a town hall, it felt like they were on the brink of a movement. But as the conversation reached a fever pitch, Emily again caught sight of the mayor's ally. He leaned against the diner wall, his smirk curling more with every passing moment. The smiles around her brought joy, yet his presence sliced through it like glass sharp, cold. A knot twisted in her stomach. What were his plans? Was he gathering data to use against them? She felt the doubt creep in again, that familiar shadow threatening to snuff out their light. I'll take care of him, she whispered under her breath, the spark now igniting into a flame. She couldn't let fear dictate their journey. Okay, let us finalize our plans, Emily declared, rallying everyone's attention once more. When is our next meeting? As they began discussing dates, Emily held on to the sense of purpose that tethered her to the community around her. They were running on pure belief now, ready to face whatever storm lay ahead. But doubt gnawed at the back of her mind, whispering warnings about what the mayor might do. Would they be able to stand against his influence, or would their dreams evaporate just as they were being born? With every rallying cheer filling the diner, Emily kept glancing toward the door. The sense of urgency was rising, a tidal wave poised to crash. What would happen when the next round of conflict emerged? Would it galvanize them or tear them apart? Emily's heart raced as the energy in the diner continued to build. With each passing moment, the teenagers fueled one another's enthusiasm, their voices rising in a symphony of hope and creativity. But the tightening knot in her stomach wanted to remind her of the shadows hovering just outside their bubble of joy. She turned back to her friends. So, about that theme. Voices of the Future. It's brilliant. The words felt heavy in her mouth, laden with anticipation and dread. But let's also think about our safety. We can't ignore the possibility that the mayor's allies will try to thwart us. We need a plan in place. Sarah chimed in, her brow furrowed. What if we create an open forum after the town hall? People can come and share their thoughts, ideas, and concerns. We could turn it into a community dialogue. That's a great idea. Pete added. We could even set up a live stream for those who can't come. I love it. Every voice matters, and we need to make sure everyone feels heard, Emily said, feeling a spark of excitement even as her mind calculated the risks. They were crafting something together, but the specter of sabotage loomed larger with every passing second. Emily shifted her gaze again to the mayor's ally. He hadn't moved. The smug expression on his face deepened, and it gnawed at her. She could visualize him weaving plans against them, ready to snatch their dreams at the first opportunity. We can't let him win. I need to find a way to confront him, she thought, and the resolve swelled within her. Can anyone be there to help me keep an eye on him? Emily asked, feeling the weight of the request. If he's all bark, we might be able to push back. But if he starts making trouble? Ruth, who had been silently observing from the counter, spoke up, her voice steady. You're not alone in this, Emily. You have all of us. The sincerity in her tone wrapped around Emily, enhancing the warmth amidst the anxious energy. We'll protect this space. Our voices are stronger together, and no one can silence us if we're united. The idea resonated. They were standing on the precipice of change, and fear couldn't drag them back into silence. Emily felt reinvigorated, buoyed by Ruth's words, and she could see the same determination gleaming in the eyes of the others. We can creatively use social media, too. Maybe we can start a countdown to the town hall and invite the community to share what they love about our town, Sarah suggested excitedly. It'll make our presence known. We'll generate positive energy that'll drown out any negativity. As they tossed ideas back and forth, Emily realized there was power in sharing their fear and bravery alike. It was hard to gather courage, but there was something uplifting in standing together, in weaving their individual threads into a strong tapestry. Their chatter flowed like a river of resilience. Emily couldn't help but smile. They were building something new, inviting a generation of voices to rise something greater than they'd ever imagined. But just as the meeting reached a crescendo of optimism, the door creaked open, and Emily's breath caught in her throat. In walked the mayor himself, his presence filling the diner with a sudden chill. The laughter faded, replaced by a palpable tension. What would he say? Emily felt the weight of the moment hanging thick in the air. Would he acknowledge their efforts, or would he try to drown their light right then and there? Gathering her courage, Emily stood tall, ready to face him head-on. Something inside her sparked this was the moment she had been waiting for. Yet deep down, she knew it would take every ounce of strength and unity they had to face whatever he would throw at them next. Would they rise to the occasion, or would this be the turning point that defined their journey? Emily's heart raced, aching for an answer as she stared back at the mayor, his expression unreadable. The diner went quiet, the buzz of creativity shrinking under the weight of the mayor's presence. Emily felt every heartbeat in the room, each thud a reminder that they stood on the edge of something monumental. As she looked around, the fire in her spirit flickered, but she wouldn't let it dim. Good evening, everyone, the mayor said, his voice authoritative but tinged with curiosity. He scanned the room, his eyes resting on Emily with a mix of skepticism and intrigue. I couldn't help but overhear the commotion. A town hall meeting, you say? Emily swallowed hard but found her voice. Yes, Mr. Thompson. We're excited about making our town better. It's time we all got involved and shared our dreams. Dreams don't fill bellies or pay rent, young lady, the mayor replied sharply. You need practical plans. Ideas without execution are just wishes. His words were like ice water, sending chills through Emily's spine. But she was done being intimidated. And what is the alternative, sir? To stay stagnant? To let fear hold us back? We've witnessed enough of that. We want to transform our community together. A murmuring began to rise from the diners as people nodded in agreement. Ruth leaned forward, her expression fierce yet hopeful. Your skepticism is noted, Mr. Thompson, but we're ready to take steps. We already have ideas for workshops, cleanup events, even community art projects. The mayor's demeanor shifted slightly, surprise flickered in his eyes as he took in the passionate faces before him. So you're all in this together, are you? Yes, Emily affirmed, the strength of her conviction driving her forward. This isn't just about one person's vision, it's about all our voices being heard. If we don't stand together, we lose everything. With each word, the tension morphed. Below his gruff exterior, Emily sensed something, a crack in the mayor's resolve. He might fight against this wave of change, but he was beginning to see their unity. You should know, change isn't just a matter of wanting it, he warned, though the sharpness in his tone had softened. It takes hard work, dedication, and yes, money. Then let us work for it. A voice called from the back, a familiar face, Tommy, a local mechanic. We're ready to put the effort in. It's not just about hope, it's our lives. They've got good ideas, Mayor, another voice added, and soon the crowd rallied behind Emily, echoing their support. You all may be well-meaning, he said, but something in his voice had shifted. A glimmer of hesitance wavered beneath his facade, a willingness to consider. But how do you intend to keep this energy going? Emily felt the warmth of inspiration wash over her. With every small step we take, we'll trust each other. We'll share our talents and stories. We'll learn how to build something. I know we can do it together. A few chuckles broke apart some of the tension. They were not just kids hoping for change. They were a community on fire with dreams. All right then, the mayor said, crossing his arms, though the smirk on his face was now gone. Let us see how far this thing really goes. Prove me wrong. Show me action, not just words. A wave of excitement swept through the diner, filling every corner with renewed hope. Emily felt it, the swell of unity pushing them forward. We will. We promise. As the mayor turned to leave, he paused, looking over his shoulder, just a trace of respect flickering in his eyes. You lot keep this up, and you won't just have a meeting, you might have a movement. Those words hung in the air, a promise, an opening. Laughter erupted, mixing with the aroma of pastries, the weight of worry lifting from the room, replaced by a fervor that echoed through every heart. Let us start planning that town hall meeting. Sarah shouted, her voice triumphant. And let us get all our ideas organized. Emily smiled wide, a radiant connection stretching between her and the crowd. They had done it. Together, they had faced the storm, had met the mayor's challenge head-on, and emerged stronger. The rest of the night filled with brainstorming sessions, laughter, and even a few tears of joy. Emily felt a burning warmth in her heart, knowing they were on the cusp of transformation. Sure, obstacles awaited, but she knew deep down that each challenge would only serve to strengthen their resolve. As the sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the diner, Emily looked into the faces of her friends and neighbors. They were ready to change the narrative of their town. The collective heartbeat of this community thumped louder than any doubt. They would rise. They would shine. And in the process, they would build a legacy beyond what they envisioned, revealing a brighter future for generations to come. Together, they were unstoppable. But this was just the beginning. If you want to join this movement, you need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss any future updates. This is the moment to show your support by leaving a like and help spread the word. It will feed the algorithm. We want to hear your thoughts on this ending, so comment below and let us know how you feel. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. The journey has just begun, and together, we can achieve incredible things.